Monday episode, Odd Musings, episode number 310.
310.
Yeah, and 3 more episodes, it'll be 313, which is the Detroit area code for phone numbers, which is the one that most of us grew up on until they started splitting up all the area codes. Which I always find funny, we're talking about, we're the real 313. It's like, yeah, we all were at one time.
We all were. And then we became 810, and then we became 586 out here.
Yeah, they split off 810 first, and then they added the 586-734s because they were running out of numbers as they added like pagers and cell phones, stuff like that. Then they realized they really weren't. There was a ton of unused numbers because people were like, I only want a good number. And when I sold cell phones, that's what we always said. I have to have a good number. I'm like, well, you get to store in your cell phone. You don't have to remember phone numbers anymore. So,
right.
Oh, that's fun stuff on that. So what's going on, Scott?
Just busy. It's really good. We're keeping busy with real estate. Unfortunately, that's dipped into my personal life. Hard to not keeping up to date on the movies and shows, but it's a good problem to have.
Yeah.
Just working, squeezing in drawing time whenever I can on our other books that we're doing. So it's been going well. I'll talk about the real estate in a little bit.
All right.
How about you?
Right. A lot of shift this week. I'm working different days. This weekend, Kevin's oldest daughter, Sophia, is graduated high school. So
can you believe that? That's crazy.
Yep. In fact, right now on the smoker, I've got about 50 pounds of pork I'm smoking, finishing up this morning, and I'll be shredding that, taking that down on Friday. And
nice.
And now she's 18, graduated, and it's time for her to get a job and get out. No, I don't know. So, but it's so it'll be a fun little time this weekend visiting with them, and then back at it on Monday, and then trying to get everything ready for San Diego and working on new stuff all the time. It's the month's already flown by. It's the 7th, and I'm like, man, what's going on with that? So
I know it feels like yesterday we were at Great Lakes Comic-Con in February.
I know.
Boom.
Well, it's like you asked me about Indiana. I was like, no, that was a month ago, and it's like all that blended together. Indiana blended and Motor City, and then
I think Robert Goodyear, who chimes in often, I think he posted pictures from when he was there. I think that's what I saw pop up.
Oh, okay.
Thinking about it, so it was him or someone else. I think they were posting, getting caught up on posting old pictures from the other week.
Yeah, I see that people sometimes 2-3 weeks out start posting pictures from the cons when they finally get a chance to, and things like that. So
yeah, that's unacceptable. You have a 24-hour window to get all social media updated.
It should be immediately. So, but hey, let's get things started real quick. I'll start us off with Loringer Family Chiropractic Center, PC. They're located in Belleville, Michigan, and Dexter, Michigan. I will be out in Dexter today, seeing Dr. Anna, and they offer on-site digital X-rays, orthotics, young living essential oils, aromatherapy, full line of vitamins, all in a family-oriented environment. And of course, they want to offer the finest chiropractic care to each and every patient. You can give them a call 734-697-4244. Visit online at largerfamilychiropractic.com. Of course, you can go right here to Facebook, Larger Family Chiropractic Center PC, and you'll see they have 750 likes right now, 776 followers. You can call, and message them right from here. I would recommend calling. While they have people that would do their social media stuff, they are not as active on social media as other places are. So definitely check them out. And like I said, it's been something that's helped me out for years, and I'm looking forward to seeing them again because it's been a rough week of work and got a couple of hitches in the knees. So get that straightened out again and back at it full time again tomorrow.
Yeah, you gotta be all spick and span for going to San Diego.
Yeah, it's it's like 5 weeks or 6 weeks away, something like that. It's coming up fast.
Yeah, for people who haven't experienced San Diego, it's like you literally are doing 6 to 8 miles a day of walking just because there's so much to do. So it's so big, it's so much distance. Mm-hmm. So it's a lot of walking every day.
Yeah. So I have 40 days until check-in. So it's 41 days till we fly out to San Diego.
It's enough time for God to flood the world.
And since I will be, and since I'm set up in Artist Alley and then Kevin will be set up in Small Press, we won't necessarily get tons of walking in. We won't be able to check out a lot of the show. We'll do like our walkthroughs early in the morning to just kind of get a look at the main floor. But we won't be able to do any panels or any special sightings or anything like that. So, right. But it's so really cool to be there. We'll have all the Bardstone goodies. I got to do inventory next week, see if I need to get anything from you on Crimson Shadows.
Yeah, let me know. I'll gladly do a drive down there. See you guys.
Yeah.
Maybe we can make a casino trip.
Probably not because I'm broke, but hey.
You'll be broke if you win the grand prize, though.
Yeah, if I could win the grand prize, it'd be great. I love it, man. So I'm kind
But
of watching the fundage right now. So
yeah, yep, for sure. But good stuff, good stuff.
yeah,
And then we also have Team Titans Real Estate. Why? Because you matter. That's right. Even though we utilize the latest in tools and technology to maximize your home buying and selling experience, we never forget at SCORE, it's a people business. And we've been people businessing a lot lately, which is a good thing. But I want to give a shout out, first of all, to all you fine folks out there who remember who we are. There is no greater sales force for an independent contractor like ourselves than people who know us. You guys interact with people on a daily basis that I don't reach, and you hear about people thinking about buying or selling a house. So we really appreciate the referrals that we get. We cover a large area, pretty much most of Southeast Michigan. The people I'm working with now, they're buying a house out in Fowlerville, Michigan. That's about an hour and a half drive for me. But it's worth it. So give us a call, 586-232-5144. And the last group I want to give a shout out to is all of you realtors out there. Real estate it's been an interesting time these last 2 years. And there's a lot of realtors who've had to take on second jobs or day jobs. And so if you are a realtor who wants to stay in the business, keep your license active, work your business still, but you need a support team, give us a call. We're looking to expand our team, add quality agents who care about their customers to our team. And we would love to talk to you about how we can assist you and be that support system you need, whether you're working another job or you have a family that takes up, you need time to deal with them. We can be your backup. So give us a call, 586-232-5144.
all right. So I was kind of looking around a little bit at stuff on Facebook, and I came across this. I think I told you about it. Crossbows and catapults.
Yeah, you had mentioned this yesterday to me. Yeah. I completely forgot about this game. It was such a cool game.
I had to. I never had it. I always wanted it. Because I thought it'd be fun. You set up your own castle, and then you basically shoot stuff at them and knock your guys over. And it's just a fun little game. Restoration Games is a company that has gone into find older games and start to bring them back to life, basically. Like they did Return of the Dark Tower recently, and that was one of their Kickstarters. That was an old game from the 80s. I remember they used to have ads for that on Saturday morning cartoons. They did a game called For King and Country, which was a Marvel game. Tales to Amaze, a couple of different things like that. So they're basically, going back fighting older games and bringing them back to life, basically. So that's the fun thing about it. So that's coming soon as a Kickstarter. This is an unpaid mention about them, so if they I'm sure they'll do well. But I thought it was just a fun little retro game thing that popped up.
Speaking of retro games, there was a game I used to love, and I don't remember. Maybe you'll remember. It was, I don't know if it was an Alien or something, but you had the board game, you had your pieces, and there was this big thing in the middle. And you remember back in the 80s, like the green oozing slime was a big thing. And you would put it in this thing, and if the thing went over your character, you push the button, and the oozing slime would come out and glob on top of your character. It was like some kind of alien thing or something, but we used to love it when we were
There's a few different ones like that, yeah, and they were always a little bit slime stuff here. There's I don't think this is it, but there's this one here. It's from 1977.
That might be it.
And I'll share the screen. It's called the Slime Monster game.
That's it.
And that's it. That's it. Okay.
Oh my God. I couldn't remember the name of it.
Yeah. So
yeah, see that green monster.
There it is.
Like,
yeah.
The ooze would come out all over your character.
I love the look of the kids' faces on the box, especially the one on the left there.
Oh my God, look at him.
He's like, yes, drown him, kill him.
Me and my cousins used to play that all the time.
Yeah,
yep,
there's
there
the
it
monster,
is.
And
I forgot.
And there's your guy.
Yep. That's it.
I never had this one either, but I remember seeing ads for this one. I mean, we used to, back in the day of Saturday morning cartoons, we used to actually see all these board games get advertised because, of course, we didn't have computer games as much. And
I gotta find that game. The slime monster game. How awesome
Yeah.
is that? Oh my God, that is so cool. That brings back memories. I remember playing that with my cousins. Actually, I remember vividly playing that while the Kiss, um, the circus or whatever,
Oh,
that
Kiss Meets the Phantom.
the Phantom, that one.
Yeah.
That was on, which I thought was the most insane, coolest movie of my life. And then like 20 years go by. And then one day I'm like, oh, here it is. So I sit down and watch it. It was horrible. It was so bad. But like in my memory, it's like the coolest thing I'd ever seen.
Yeah.
That is so awesome. The slime monster game.
Yeah.
And that green slime always had a very distinct odor.
Oh yeah, it reeked. It
Yeah.
always did. I mean, we'd get like the little things of the slime in the 80s and that, and
Mhm.
and then they even had it for He-Man had one of the set pieces had
Oh,
where
yeah.
they would do that,
Yeah.
and that was and of course you got to be careful not to use the ones with fur like Moss Man or something like that because it would stick in the.
Yeah.
See if I can find that one too. Yeah, it was Evil Horde Slime. There we go. Yeah.
Evil Horde. That's right.
Yeah. See, my brother had he was young enough to get all this stuff at that age, and
we would also do like there was a recipe to do homemade slime and stuff. But yeah, to this day, it'd be interesting to see it for real and see what the smell is. But I think I have it crystal clear in my head. There it is.
Here it
the
is.
Slime pit.
Yep, it was the Horde Slime Pit. Wow, $665. Of course, this is a vintage one. So, and yeah, we had this, and you'd have the hands like that, and you just pour the slime over the guy, and it got everywhere. It was always a mess.
Kids today don't understand how prevalent slime was back then.
Yeah.
Then Nickelodeon, they had the.
Was a big
time
deal.
Someone asked what or something, if they said a certain thing.
Well, that was the one show, but then they used it. They added it to Double Dare and everything else they did. Slime became the thing in the 80s. It still is for their slime, or for their Nickelodeon movie awards or something like they still do. You know, those are still some of that fun stuff there. So
yeah, that was so fun. I love watching that Nickelodeon stuff and seeing them get slimed.
Yeah,
wasn't it if they said what? They got slimed or something.
I don't know if it was what, but it was something like that.
Yeah.
So I didn't watch a lot of that show. Let me see here. Let's see if we got something here.
Let's see, Nickelodeon Slime Show.
Yeah. Basically, it's like they continue their lines, and then they would get. So I'm seeing here. So as on, you can't do that on television. Say the phrase, "I don't know."
I don't know.
Would result in the speaker getting slimed. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like a game showish type thing. Yeah.
They try to trip each other up.
Yeah.
So yeah. So in the 80s, there were a couple constants. One was slime. Another thing is everybody was going to die by quicksand. Every movie, somebody ended up in quicksand.
Yeah.
And every bad guy had an Uzi.
Yeah.
I think.
Well, Uzis were the preliminary machine gun, basically, of the 80s and all of that. So,
what other constants were from that era?
I sure think. I mean, there's tons of stuff. I mean, it's not one thing or another per se. It's just everything. You just like, oh, that's very 80s because it was just all over during the 80s, like members only jackets, and the fact that every kids movie they all swore through them in the 80s. Yeah. And
or the color palette too, which is interesting because like in every TV show, everything was like these super bright colors, but in reality, everything was wood paneling. Everybody's basement was this wood paneled basement with browns and yellows and dim lighting. It wasn't the super bright pinks and blues and
Yeah. Well, here's the thing with quicksand. This is kind of where it comes from, in my opinion.
Okay.
Blazing Saddles.
There you go.
Quicksand. quicksand.
Like you had quicksand in episodes
I
of The
muted it because I
Incredible
say a
Hulk.
lot of foul language and a few N words here,
Oh
so
yeah,
so I don't want.
yeah. You
Yeah,
definitely have to be careful when playing Blazing Saddles on the air.
yeah. Film that couldn't be made today, but is definitely an important film in film history.
For
So,
sure.
but yeah, I was looking up what's been going on in entertainment right now, and I saw the other day the Directors Guild of America, they've gotten a new deal with the studios
Oh,
as of June 4th. Now, June 5th, SAG-AFTRA members voted 97.9% in favor of strike. And as we know, the Writers Guild of America is on strike, and both of them are saying they're not going to. The deal the directors got is not the one. They're still going to go after their own goals because the directors didn't get the uh, streaming residual tied to the show's success. But they got pay hikes and improved residuals for international stuff.
yeah.
And the big thing is, with the way the streaming industry is, they all want to get paid more, but at the same time, it's like, how do you calculate that? Because most of it's no ads. It's based on membership, and
Yeah, it's a percentage cut of the members. There's a pot based upon how many membership fees they bring in, and then it's distributed based on viewership, is my understanding.
right.
But a lot of these actors, their previous deals were written based upon theater sales or ratings or whatever, but not streaming didn't exist. So
Right. Well, and that's
want new
where
contracts.
what's her name? Black Widow.
Yeah,
She had
Johansson.
she had a legitimate lawsuit because her contract was about theatrical stuff, and they bypassed the
Right.
theater primarily, and just said it's available that same day. So it cut the money from the theater down to cut her paycheck, and they ended up having to pay her.
Right.
And that, so, but
And she was totally in the right
yeah,
she wasn't being difficult or anything. I think a lot of studios found loopholes through streaming to be able to avoid paying talent.
Yeah.
And that's what this strike is about. So, while I'm not a big fan of strikes, I think there is when technology changes, things have to update to meet the new technology.
Mhm.
Just
And
like
that's
music, Snoop Dogg was talking about the music industry and how streaming is killing revenues for music artists. It's just destroying them. And he was talking about the writer's strike and how they need to do something for music similar.
Yeah. Well, I was listening to one of the channels on Sirius, and it's one of the classic rock channels. And the guy was talking about, back in the day, you would an album, you go stand in line to get the album, you get the album, go home, you listen to, both sides, if it was LP or straight through on the CD from beginning to end, and you listen to all the songs.
Mm-hmm.
Nowadays, it's like, well, I only want to hear that one song or that, and you could pick and choose so much. We all can make our own mixtapes immediately without having to listen to the entire album of a band on streaming. Right. And streaming is, $8 to $10 a month, and you have access to everything.
Yeah.
And that's the whole thing.
Which I think, unfortunately, I think we talked off air about this, is how we used to make mixtapes and things like that.
We talked about it last week on the air too.
Yeah. And, there's a certain value that's given to things when there's limited resources to it. When we would make our own mixtapes, you had to choose your favorite 10, 15 songs, 20 if you had the extended tapes. But you really had to think about it and agonize, like, do I do this song or this song? And it meant something to pick
were there was different kind. If you were doing a mixtape for somebody else, it had a meaning. Like if you were, for like if you're a boyfriend for girlfriend type situation, you wanted it to be something that fit that relationship. Then there's times you wanted, like, okay, hey, we're going to a party next week, or we're going to be at the beach or something like that. We're going to bring our, our boom boxes and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And you'd bring you make a mixtape up that, or a few of them of
like themed,
like, okay, during the day we got all these, rock songs that they can play. And then, at night when you're all around the fire, you slow it down a little bit and things like that, so you'd plan it out that way. So you were your own DJ a lot of ways.
Yeah. I would have a mixtape for like my workouts. I had my workout mix. I had my driving mix. I had my rock mix, country mix. So I had like 8 different ones where so depending on what mood I was in or whatever. And if it was a band I really like, I would do my own greatest hits of that band. Like Queen, I made my own mixtape of my favorite songs.
Yeah, and that's the whole thing. It was definitely having, like, I used to have, even with MP3s when I went to that with the CD, I'd make an MP3 of all a bunch of songs I liked. I just wanted to, like, when I'm driving around, I throw it in my CD player in the car because it play MP3s, and I could just listen whatever I wanted on that, but I'd have a whole mix of songs I just liked. It'd be tons of bands, but for the most part, I still had to buy the CDs. I mean, back, even early 2000s, people were downloading illegally, but for the most part, I know a lot of people actually bought CDs, and the downloading sometimes wasn't good. They didn't want to buy CDs. They already had them. They just wanted the MP3s. So
what I find interesting though is then you see the kids today. I don't think they value music like we did, because whatever they want is at their fingertips. Like you said, $10 a month, you have millions of songs to choose from. And so they'll listen to certain bands or songs, but at the same time, they'll wear the shirts of the bands we grew up with, even though they don't listen to those bands, but they'll wear a Def Leppard shirt.
Well, they love the designs. They love the look of them. Right. I see a ton of like Iron Maiden because they like, I like the Trooper guy, like, do you listen to music? Well, not really, Now there's some that do. I will say this, especially Kevin's Braden. Braden's really into the classic heavy metal stuff like that. He likes like an Iron Maiden. He loves Queen. They took him to see Queen a few years ago with Adam Lambert and a bunch of other stuff. But it's it really is about the parents actually playing the music. And Kevin's big into collecting vinyl now, and I know he plays a lot of vinyl in the house with the kids around. So,
well, not to mention if they didn't like that music, Kevin might expel them from the house.
I don't think he would do that.
Enter the mosh pit. They're 5 years old. He's throwing them into a mosh pit.
He'd ban them from listening to anything. I don't know. And then Rob was talking about 8-track. Yeah, 8-tracks really didn't. I mean, that was a 70s thing that even then, I hated 8-tracks. I mean, I remember having them as when I was a kid, because I was late 70s and that we had a few, and I actually had a stereo that played them. But what sucked is like almost everyone I had is like there was always one song that got cut in half because I had to flip to the other track to finish the song.
Right.
So cassettes, when they came out, were coming out at the same time, and they basically dominated quick enough that 8-track was gone by the 80s, and it was cassettes that took over in the 80s.
Of course, now, like I just got a car, zero anything in it, no CD players. All my CDs, I can't.
You'd have to go back to the early 90s and buy the portable CD player,
right?
But then you'd have to hook it up to a Bluetooth device.
A Bluetooth, yeah.
Or actually, some still have a port though. There might still be a port somewhere by your.
There is a USB port.
Yeah, there's USB, and then sometimes there's still like an audio port on some of them. Not all, but some. But yeah, they got rid of the CD players because people aren't using the CDs. Everybody's streaming from their phones. And I personally wish I still had a CD player because I liked that option. Yeah, I didn't use it a ton even in my last vehicle, but I still used it. But it's everything is like, okay, you plug your phone into the, like for Fords, which you have a Ford Escape, I have a Ford Edge, and they have what's called the sync. So when you plug your phone directly in, you get the sync options. From there, you can choose your app, whether it's like Amazon, Spotify, Pandora, whatever the streaming app you want for music, and play your music that way through the car. And again, you can still choose what you want or listen to that. But it's still it's changing the whole industry. And I think I agree with you completely on the fact that I don't think kids respect music like they used to. Now they like their artists. There's certain artists they like. That's why Taylor Swift is selling out football stadiums. Yeah. If you saw this week, she was in Chicago, and like 40,000 people were inside, and there's probably another 20 to 30,000 outside the stadium because it's an open air stadium and they could still hear her. And so they got to listen. They just couldn't see her.
What's weird about the Taylor Swift thing, in my mind, is Taylor Swift herself is an amazingly talented musician. I mean, she writes her music, she manages herself, she's very talented. But she's almost become like a cult following. Like it's a whole different status, I feel like, with her fan base. It's weird.
Yeah, it's they call themselves Swifties. I mean, she's had it for a long time. I mean, she had when she was in her early 20s, she was the one that developed the word squad for a group of girls. She called them her squad. Yeah. Different things like that. And she's, hadn't been on tour in 5-6 years. So this was like a huge tour announcement for her to have in the stadium. They knew they'd sell out. And that's where the artists really are making their money, is tours now. It's not selling the albums because it's all going streaming. But she also is one of the ones that fought against a lot of the streaming people too initially. She's the one that had herself taken off of Spotify because they were refusing to. Spotify wasn't paying people, and she wasn't worried about her. She was worried about the independent artists that were getting screwed over completely by not getting any money, and their stuff was being streamed all kinds of crazy ways.
Right.
So that's one thing I will say I liked about her was that she did that. The one thing that gets me about her is like I pulled her up real quick if we're going and right and all it's about is all her relationships stuff like that. It's like well she broke up with this guy, so now she's been seen with this guy here. She's a big name celebrity. She's of course going to know a lot of people. It doesn't necessarily mean she's seeing them all.
Right.
But I will say everything I see about her, you don't really hear anything negative other than the dating aspect. People are always trying to come down to her on that, but it's like, it's obviously she hasn't found the right person. She keeps going from person to person. So either it's her or them, but I have a feeling it's that celebrity thing. She hit it big so young that it's gonna be tough to find somebody that can handle that kind of celebrity.
Right.
So all that, but yeah, like I said, she's coming to Detroit this weekend. So Friday, if you're in Detroit, don't unless you're there for Taylor Swift or the Detroit Tigers going on at the same time. I believe I think she's at Ford Field, or she's at LTA. I'm not sure. Let's see here. Yeah, I think it's Ford Field. Yeah. In fact, WXYZ shared that the Ford Field is going to have early merchandise day for Taylor Swift. So you can go on the day before to purchase merchandise outside of Gate B. So all the T-shirts and everything else they have, that's all Taylor Swift stuff. So I think she's got to be making $1 million a show on the merchandise at least. Jeez, that's all you ever hear is merchandise people selling out everywhere. So
I'm just responding to an important text real quick.
That's fine. So yeah, that's what's going on with Taylor Swift. I mean, it's very impressive, and that's the whole thing with bands now, especially the classic bands. Since none of them can sell albums anymore, that's why you got all these guys that are touring, like Rolling Stones. They're like 140 years old. They're still touring. We're just propping their skeletons up and things like that. But it's different. Every time I turn around, it's like, yeah, here's this guy. He still can rock it. He's like 82 years old. It's like, okay, and those guys are selling out places and that. But yeah, the music industry has changed, and the whole streaming platform between like the Spotify's and like I said the Apple, all that Apple's got their big one too, and Amazon Prime. Those are the three big ones I can think of right off. Pandora is a little different. I don't know if you can actually choose so much as just select stuff, but yeah, it's all based on plays, and they get like really just a small pennies on the play, if that's something like full penny for a play for some of these artists. But that's why if you like an independent one, like Bowling for Soup is one of my favorite bands. They announced they're doing another best of album, and it's available to save on streaming. They posted that, said, hey, save it on streaming, or here's the pre-order to buy the actual physical CD, and then they sell them signed. So I bought a physical CD or a vinyl, because vinyl's really been helping those guys out a lot too.
Right.
So, but it's also like Metallica with their big concert coming in November. I mean, the ones they've been doing all over. I mean, that's how they're making their money. They can put out a new album all they want. That's why Weird Al doesn't even do albums anymore.
Right. Yeah, but like I remember him talking about how doing an album now, but especially with him because his songs are topical, and he's like, by the time I produce and put an album together and get it out there, 30 other people have put together fast stuff on YouTube and it's already out there. So, and my stuff becomes dated. So,
yeah. Robert says, what do we think about records coming back? I think it's a great thing. I love the sound of a record. An LP has a much richer sound than what they really do with anything CDs or even digitally, because they get because it's still digitized, and where the LP is analog, and you just get that more natural sound, that more ambient sound to it, that as much as they try to create it digitally, and they probably can get even better, it's still always going to have almost a digital-esque to it. Sometimes it's a little too clean, in terms of the sound. But I think records are great, especially like I said, with the smaller bands, it's a big deal. And then for the bigger bands, they're all doing stuff with vinyl now. Metallica has gotten so big, they actually bought the press they were using. And that's because they just couldn't keep up with demand. So they just bought it. And now that's all they do is print their stuff.
Same
and that's
with
the way to keep with the fans.
Jack White bought a pressing company, and he does
Yeah.
pressing for a bunch of different artists.
He also does concerts, and then he records the concerts while they're going on at his venue in Nashville. And then those that are there have the first bid to buy. And it's if they sold like 500 tickets, they only make 500 albums. If
Oh,
they
that's
don't,
cool.
if they don't all sell, then he puts them in his store to sell later on. So you'll go in there and you can go through and you'll see all these things from here. This band appeared here this night. It might be an obscure band that doesn't really have much for albums out or anything like that, or especially an LP, and you can get an LP of that concert. So
That's a really cool idea.
yeah.
Because live albums are good, but if you can get the live album of the concert you saw,
Yeah.
that's really cool.
I was trying to think. There was a band that did that. I think it might have been Metallica actually. After everything was going on with the streaming stuff, they actually did a thing where at a concert with your ticket, you could go online and download that concert as an MP3 to listen to again.
Oh, that's cool.
Stuff like that. And that's something that I think they tried, doesn't really gone on, but I like that idea of recording it and then you order it, say, yeah, I want it, and then they ship it to you afterwards once it's been pressed onto vinyl. But yeah, he's been running his was it Third Man Records, and he's printing a ton of albums. And he showed him on it's American Pickers. They went and visited him again, and he showed how he does it there. And I think the whole thing with them going there was to show what he's doing, and it wasn't so much about picking or buying anything. So, but it showed how they master it, and then they burn a master record LP, and then they stamp them from there.
Yeah.
So it's a cool thing. I think it is good. It's seen it went from 15 years ago, them saying, okay, no more record companies, LPs are dead, it's all digital, to making a comeback. And it really was part of the older people, as well as there was some younger people at the time, even that have now become towards 40, stuff like that. They're like, they embraced it when they started looking at their parents' collections and going to record shops and just looking at the old stuff and realizing, oh, this stuff sounds good, and finding obscure stuff that hasn't been released in CD and being able to play it again, stuff like that. So, but I think it's a good thing. So,
what's nice about just music in general right now is there's so many formats and availability of platforms that whatever form you like, you're going to be able to get. So,
yeah. Well, and that's also the thing with technology nowadays is anybody can put out an album, and unfortunately anybody does.
Right.
So there's some good stuff, some really crappy stuff out there. And I don't want to, I'm not going to pick on anybody in particular. I mean, if you love what you're doing, do it. I mean, not everybody's going to like what you do. Big bands I don't like, big musicians I don't like, that sell millions, and I just don't care for them. But yeah, with technology you can do that. And I think that it's the ability to get stuff out there. But it's just like our art, it's everybody wants it, but not everybody wants to pay for it. So they're always asking, well, how can I just read it? And it's like, well, buy it, or how can I list it? Well, buy it. Well, I don't want to pay for it. It's like, well, you guys got to learn how to support the artists and the creations of that, whether it's no matter what the endeavor is. I mean, they're putting a lot into it, not just their money, but their time. The time is worth more than the money. So, but yeah, it's something I think that, again, back to the record ideas, it's helped out the industry a lot. So, but another topic I saw where Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse #2 came out and had a big opening, 120 million domestic, over 220 million worldwide.
The reviews I read were good. I just haven't had a chance to get to it.
Yeah.
But I'm definitely interested in seeing it.
Yeah, it is. It's runtime of 2 hours and 20 minutes.
I read one article, though, that saying there's an issue with the sound where a lot of people are having trouble understanding. I don't know if it's too loud or they talk over each other, but they're having trouble hearing the dialogue somehow. So I don't know if the music is too loud in relation to the dialogue. So without seeing it myself, I don't know, is this a theater by theater type issue or is this across the board? I don't know.
Here we go. Sounds like some people are complaining about the poor sound mix. Now, of course, being that they do send these out digitally to the theaters now, this is something they could fix and just update. Let's see here. I know everybody's loving the movie. I've seen that. I know there were some that they had a hard time hearing what certain characters were saying at different points in the film, while others Question why it wasn't being addressed. So even said that they were looking forward to seeing the film with subtitles so they could better hear and understand the things that
Yeah.
the current sound mix simply wouldn't let them. Now I'm wondering if they're dealing. I don't know which scenes because no one's saying which scenes. But if it's a scene where there's a bunch of different Spider-Men, they may have did that on purpose,
Yeah.
and there's not really a
Well,
problem.
I know the vast majority of movies I absolutely can't stand anymore when I watch them at home because the music is so loud in relation to the dialogue that I do have trouble a lot of times hearing what's being said.
Yeah.
And I'll play with the different settings and I don't understand why they have to make the music so loud in relation to dialogue.
Mm-hmm.
It just if
Well, it's like Robert said here. He said he didn't have a problem. He didn't have an issue.
background
Uh,
music with dialogue.
Background music with the dialogue, and then here he has hearing issues. Didn't have a problem with it. I think it depends on what theater you're in and what type of sound system they're using too.
Could
That's
be.
gonna be kind of key. If you're in a certain theaters that don't have the better sounds, it may be just that mix isn't coming through properly because the way they mix them, it's for this multiple channel things, and that's the problem we have at home. Is when you go at home and you're on your and the only thing you have is like your TV speakers. You're gonna even though if it
It's
simulates
blending.
surround, it's blending too much, and I do hate that the music is so loud compared to the dialogue. There's times I have to constantly increase the volume and decrease it based on when the music kicks up.
Right. Yeah. You have it so you can hear good, and all of a sudden music turns on. You're like, whoa.
Yeah. And even if and the thing is, like, not everybody's going to have like a 5.1, 6.1, or whatever surround sound system
Right.
that you could balance a little bit better, where the music actually would come out more. The other channels in the center channel would have all your dialogue.
Right.
So I said at home, it is irritating on some of these films, modern films and that. So, but yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing this myself. I'm not sure when I'll get a chance, but I'm going to try to see it hopefully next week. I'm going to try to go Tuesday maybe. Because I got next Tuesday off, and it's also free popcorn Tuesday at Imagine Theaters. So I do like to spend the $2 on that free popcorn and get upgraded to a large so I can get some to take home.
Mhm. Yeah.
So yeah, and I guess Spider Punk was awesome. So all right, since we haven't seen, I don't know all the Spider-Man that are. I know there's a million of them. I liked the first one; that was very good. And I think this is a good platform to use with like the Miles Morales and interesting different Spider Man without having to always constantly do a live action. Though I know they're talking about doing a live action Miles Morales now. So, and then I did see
Nice.
where live action Little Mermaid dropped down to 40 million. Uh, Considering that Spider Man was such a big movie to come out, that was a big drop. And that Little Mermaid's done. What's it done here? 191 domestic and 332 worldwide. So it's not bad. Uh, I've seen a lot of people posting about that one with the one scene they made a big deal about with the Kiss the Girl scene, which is the song from the original one. They had to change it to where she was like asking or giving consent or something like that. And I saw quite a few females posting when they go back and rewatch the original scene. They're like, she gave him consent. She was giving him the nod. She did it non-verbally and stuff like that. But it was like a ridiculous thing to do was to change that scene up to appease the PC crowd, when realistically she was one that was more aggressive towards Eric than Eric was to her. So,
Yeah.
but that's my opinion, and I'm sticking to it. So, and you said you haven't really watched much of anything this week because I know you've been working a lot. So,
Yeah, I did get caught up on Picard. I finally finished season 3. Absolutely loved it.
mhm.
It was great. So well done. They did it right. It was a great original storyline. It paid homage to the past. It was a sometimes it's very contrived a story to create a reunion episode. I really like the way they progressed this season to bring the cast together. And the only negative is the end of season 2 of Picard.
Mhm.
You had the Borg evolved because of the time travel thing.
Right.
And then they were guarding this gate. And then this season happened, and it's as if that ending to season 2 never happened. It's like they completely ignored that.
They realized, I think they wrote themselves into a conundrum that they just couldn't fix, and the fact that they also realized that they only had one more season. They switched it up to be a full on next generation reunion. I think the other part too is the Borg Queen in season 2 was the actress that just passed away. That was in a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
Uh,
But the way they ended season 2, you had a new Borg Queen in that merged character.
Mhm.
I forget her name in the series, but that one girl mixed with the Borg Queen. I think it would have been very easy just to have them, that gate they were guarding. It turns out it was these bad guys that came through,
Yeah.
But I'm fine with it. I just found it interesting. It was like it as if it never happened.
Yeah. I mean, season 3, really, you could watch season 3 of Picard and never watch season 1 or 2 and been just fine.
Yeah, in fact, it makes me wish this was season 1 of Picard because it was so well done.
Yeah.
I thought it was a brilliant. Spoiler alert! All minor spoilers, I guess, or major, depending on how you look at it. But I love the way they utilized the transporter technology as part of the villain's plans. I thought that was a really cool thing, and I also like the way they utilize the characters. Sometimes it's very shoehorned in when you want to create female leaders in a show. The way they did this storyline, I thought it worked, and I liked it. I liked where they brought Seven in as a character. So so my question though is, 7 of 9 is now a captain. So is she? A lot of times they'll say Captain Picard. They go by the last name. So is her last name of 9? Is that her
Could
last
be.
name? Is she Captain of 9? Or is 7 her first name and of 9 her last? Or is of a middle name?
I think it's all one name. So she's kind of like, she's 7 of 9. It's all one word. They always use it.
Yeah.
Kind of like if it was Cher, it was Captain of the Enterprise, it'd be Captain Cher,
There you go.
Not Captain Bono.
Cher.
Yeah.
Cher's Captain Cher.
Yeah.
It's a tongue twister.
There you go. Yeah. Robert said something about Spider-Man. Yeah, I hadn't seen any of this on the Andrew stuff. I mean, they've never announced Amazing Spider-Man 3 at all. There's all that's been fan speculations, and I'd like to have seen it. Yeah. I'd like to see them come back and do something else. But
and keep in mind, they also said he wasn't in the last one.
Yeah. So, but if they're doing a Miles, if they're going with Miles, which is kind of the rumors now, they're starting to cast for Miles and a live action, and that's completely separate from the Tom Holland one, things like that. Yeah. Which they're not doing anything with him right now either. So,
I feel like the Andrew Garfield character should be done because it should be finished as far as following. I feel like they gave such a the way they handled him in the last movie gave closure to that character. So unless you're really going to go with like a full another trilogy, there's no need to bring him for one movie because the character got complete closure when he saved MJ in the last one. I felt that brought closure. So as a character arc, I don't think he needs any more.
No, I agree. I think it was just fine where it is. I like to, like I said, I wouldn't mind seeing another one. But again, but the only way to do that is, I mean, he's still older. It's an older Spider-Man, and I think that would have been a good launching place if they wanted to take him back and you get into the world and find out, okay, he had married and had a kid, and they do like a Spider-Gwen spinoff.
Right.
Exactly. That might have been a good way to go with that. And you still could deal with Andrew. He could have been the older Peter Parker. And that's part of that storyline. But even then, don't even necessarily need to go there either. So, because I think the Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse is dealing perfectly with the Spider-Gwen stuff.
Yeah.
And we don't need to go live action on everything.
And I think if they went with the older Peter Parker storyline, I think people would rather see a Tobey Maguire led Spider-Man if you're going with the older version.
Yeah.
Because then you could really get into, you wouldn't have, because of the age difference, if you go with a Tobey Maguire, you could have a 20-year-old son that's involved. You don't have to deal with what's a 5-year-old spider child like, So you could have a 20-year-old son of his or daughter of his if it's Spider-Gwen or whatever you do,
But, right. So, yeah. So I was looking at that, and I was looking at Strange New Worlds. Star Trek. We both like that first season. Second season starts a week from tomorrow. So the 15th, it'll kick off the first episode, and it's a weekly release again. They're sticking with that. Seeing more and more like on Disney and a few others that we're doing weekly. They're switching a lot of their stuff to complete drops, but I think it's a smart way to go on the shows that don't have the week-to-week build-up. So, and it's like I think that's what hurt. That's why I even finished it. But the Ms. Morrow, if they just dropped it, might have got a better run through of people watching it than waiting week to week. Because one of the things if you're not that enthralled with the show, you forget about it. Even over a week. And there's times I've had stuff where like, oh yeah, I forgot about that. I guess I'll watch it because nothing else to watch right now, and I'll be an episode or two behind on things. But if they drop them and I'm actually like, okay, this is fine, I'll watch the next one, and you can kind of get caught up in that little binge and finish the series off like, I'm good there. And I probably would have done that with a few other things I've dropped over the years that I've never finished. I go back and watch them now, but it's too late. It's like, I'm not interested anymore. But look forward to Strange New Worlds. I really like that series.
Yeah, the season 1 was great. Well, I count that as season 2. I feel like Discovery was season 1. Season 2 of Discovery was season 1 of Strange New Worlds, I think.
Yeah, it's basically and
Yeah.
And that's the only thing I liked on Discovery. I didn't care for season 1. I haven't cared for season 3 or 4, or whatever they're gonna do next. They're getting ready to end it next year, and I'm fine with it because I just don't like the storyline. I don't care for you don't care for the Michael Burnham character.
Yeah, it's all the side stories that are actually the good parts of Discovery, and they keep trying to force Discovery Michael Burnham on us. Honestly, nobody cares. Mm-hmm. The actress, even when she was in Walking Dead, she doesn't have the gravitas to be a lead. She's a good real quick.
Secondary. Have a good day, Robert. He's taking off.
Bye.
Thanks for chiming in.
Thanks.
But yeah, the Burnham character nobody cares for. I mean, nobody talks about it. I don't see anybody wanting to cosplay it, and that's how I've always judged stuff is how it's picked up by the fans that want to come out and to different conventions and how they cosplay. And I've seen some people dress up from the Discovery. It's never Michael. It's always what's the one girl's name? The kind of the curly redhead, and then Saru. I've seen Saru before, things like that. And a couple of some of the side characters. Really, with them focusing so hard on the Michael Burnham character all the time, it took away from these great stories of these other side characters that I think could have been there. And it should have been more of an ensemble cast. And she shouldn't have been the captain at all, which they've made her eventually. And it should have been something from the beginning. Or instead of having that lame backstory of hers, she could, if they want to make her the captain, make the captain right away. But they need to treat her how they're doing, like Strange New Worlds. You got a captain, but he's not always the central focus.
Yeah. And like, I feel like, I don't know, they were so stuck on Michael Burnham being the lead, but there were definite flaws with season 1, and I feel like most of the flaws they fixed.
Yeah.
But they kept sticking with Michael Burnham. They really should have put her on the back burner. I mean, people, Michelle Yeoh, her character was really great the way they did her, and
they're still supposed to do something with her character as a series.
Yeah, Dark Mirror, or what do they call that? Or that dark ops section of Starfleet. But yeah, with Picard, I love too the way it wasn't just a reunion of the Next Generation cast, but it was a great blending of the other series too. They brought in characters from Deep Space Nine, from Voyager, and they did such a good job of that. And so I feel like they paid attention to this season. And I think Star Trek, between Strange New Worlds, how everyone gravitated to that, and the success of Picard season 3, I have a feeling Star Trek might be learning some lessons here, and we might get some really amazing content moving forward.
I hope so. And this is where I think Star Wars needs to also look at some of the stuff they've done. We've talked about that too. Is it's done great with The Mandalorian. Kenobi was good. Look forward to Ahsoka. But some of the other side stuff, the movies that they need to just tell good stories. And that's what I think was worked for Star Trek Strange World. It was great storytelling, and they weren't getting too much caught up in just, like I said, just but I felt like they were spending too much time with the Burnham character and trying to create an agenda around it.
Well, and that's it. The people who support woke storylines, I understand why you support them, but what they seem to not understand is substance versus just an agenda. And a lot of times people get confused when we talk about, it's agenda driven. This is a great example. The Michael Burnham character in Discovery, that is an agenda driven character. She is shoehorned in. Nobody cares about her. And there's no substance to this character. Fast forward to Picard season 3. They developed 7 of 9. It makes sense. the trajectory of her career, where she's at. And she's not shoehorned in. She's in the position because she is a strong character. She's not a strong character because everyone around her is weak.
Right.
She is strong, and she's a very good female leader. Michael Burnham's just shoehorned in, and it's like the studio saying, well, you're going to like her whether you like it or not. You know? And
and that's the thing is like
work.
I saw in the first season people were watching it and commenting, and as it's gone on, it's less and less and less. So hardly anybody's really talking about.
Yeah, season
Discovery
3 disappeared of Discovery. Season 2, Strange New Worlds storyline gave it a huge boost. Season 3, everyone fell away. Like all the comments on it, they started off with it and fell away real quick.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Because it went back to following her, and nobody cares about her.
Well, and that was the whole thing. They set up this whole thing with her and the one guy, and they have their romantic thing. They They basically blew up Starfleet, so they have to rebuild Starfleet, and they're rebuilding it in her image.
Not to mention, they created this whole retconned history to force her into Star Trek canon by making her Spock's half sister.
Yeah,
which makes zero sense. There is like nothing in the history of Star Trek to suggest he ever had a half sibling.
Yeah.
And so that was another force. They're trying to give her this goes back to the agenda driven thing. Instead of giving her a solid backstory, they tried to just force it to say, no, she's a strong character because Spock is associated with her, even though it made no sense that Spock would have been associated.
Yeah.
You know, there is so much history with Spock and even with his father. And even they talk about the past with his mother. There's nothing about a sibling.
No, there's been enough explored that was canon with Star Trek that you don't need to. I mean,
yeah,
even they with it
you
and
could
everything.
Give her a different Vulcan half parent, if you really want to make her a half. But
even her
as a whole, there's nothing about her to suggest she's even half Vulcan.
No, she's not. She just was raised on Vulcan.
Oh, was she full human? But
I believe so.
Vulcan?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Let me see here. Because that's the whole thing. She doesn't have the ears, and that's the one thing. Is even the half ones like Spock's got all the half ones you ever meet all have that. They all have the ears, and that's kind of a tell trait in that. So she's human. It says here on the
she's fully human.
Yeah, on memory, whatever. She was a human Starfleet officer raised on Vulcan. I think she was adopted too by Ambassador Sarek and Amanda Griffith following the death of her parents. So she's not even blood related to Spock. So the way they got around that was,
right.
Yeah, she's adopted. So she's the adopted sister. She was fostered and all that stuff. But
so because she was adopted, she was just ignored. Like, I don't know. It just was too shoehorned. They could have made her adopted by another Vulcan family and without giving her Spock's heritage.
Yeah, but realistically, she shouldn't even, as a human, she wouldn't have been able to do anything on Vulcan because they are very strict on their stuff. I mean, Spock barely could, had trouble because he was half human and going through the trials and stuff like that. I mean, he was ostracized so much because of his half humanity. And
right.
So that was definitely something that plays
into
their
culture. Been completely ignored on Vulcan as a full human.
No, yeah, she would have been homeschooled by Spock's mom, and that would have been it. She wouldn't be able to study any of the Vulcan university stuff or anything like that deals with the Vulcan, who they are. So, that's why it never made sense. And I think that's where they screwed up on that. Plus, they made her a criminal at the beginning.
Yeah, that whole part too just was.
Yeah.
It just didn't fit. It was contrived.
Yeah, none made any real sense at all. So I never really cared for it. So.
Oh well, what can you do? Well, hopefully they learned from Picard season 3. That's what people wanted. It was a strong story. It's a story that propels it forward. So now they can do new adventures. And they can do a spinoff without following Picard if they want, and follow the new Enterprise. They got some interest. They've got a good foundation for moving forward if they want.
I think so. And at the same time, if that's all it is, it ends. I'm glad with that too. We don't need to continue on necessarily per se with that, but
Right.
I like that they did leave that option there. I think it's going to hinge on a few things, and right now, of course, with the Writers Guild, nobody's talking about hardly anything new. Although I'm seeing more and more actors that are supposed to be in Comic Cons having to cancel because of jobs coming up. So the Writers Guild strikes going on and the Actor Guild strikes going on, or getting ready to go on. They're all still booking work.
Well, I think what's happening is the studios are pulling out all those scripts that are done, but they put on the back burner saying, "Oh, do we really want that?" Now they're like, "Oh, sure, we want that."
Well, if SAG goes on strike, then the actors are on strike and they won't do anything. That's going to be the key on all that, because they
And then
did
we'll
say
have reality TV everywhere.
Well, even actually reality TV, because that's kind of scripted too, so that falls into a lot of that stuff too on that. But
wasn't that how Survivor got big? Wasn't it a writer's strike at the time? And so the network put, if I remember correct, they rejected the idea at first, and I think there was a writer's strike, and so they're like, well, let's try this reality show that Mark Burnham is putting together, or whatever his name is, and they tried it, and it was huge.
Actually, looking up, it was based on a show that was from Sweden in '97, and then they but I don't think it had anything to do with the strike. I think that was just because the problem with these shows is, even if you're using reality and just talking to people and interviewing them, there is still writing that goes on that's tied into the Writers Guild. It's like even the live award shows, you have writers in the back that are feeding everybody their lines at different times. But I don't see anything that says it was brought about by the writer's strike. It was something that was already developed.
No,
what it was is it had nothing to do with the strike and writing and all that stuff. It was the fact that, okay, we got one main guy who's the host that they have to pay. Everybody else gets minimal pay because they all get paid to be on the show. They get it because it's they get like a per diem type thing a day. And then yeah, here we go. $2,500.
It was a 2007 writer's strike, I think.
Yeah, well, the Survivor was already still going on, though.
Was it? Well,
yeah, because that started early 2000.
I just saw an interview recently with the guy who created it, and that, according to him, it was the writer's strike that got him on. He said he was originally rejected, and because of the strike.
I could see that the strike had been over though, but it was a quick production.
Could be.
And that would be where a scripted show, they have to get the scripts written at that point, which are not written. Where this here, they can say, "Hey, it's a game show essentially."
Yeah.
But if you look, there's still writers on that. But yeah, it wasn't. I don't think it's because of that. I think but it was already going on in 2001. I can see that where they said, "Yeah."
2001 Survivor started.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, 2000, 2001. So
first TV air. Yep. God, it's that long. It's been on. Yeah. Oh, you're right. 2000. So it wouldn't have been the 2007 strike.
No. So
2000. Wow.
Probably by that point they had the film.
We're getting old.
Yeah, I know. They shot it. They had it all filmed, all that stuff. But the thing too is that when people appear on these series, I mean, they're not making big money, but they make some money to be on it. For every episode they're on, they get paid. That's why they all come back. It's like right now they're getting the Survivor All Stars featured payout starting at $5,000. Winners at War had a minimum $25,000 payout. All players are offered $10,000 for participating in the finale show. That's why they all come back. They get flown out, hotel, and here's your $10,000. Yeah, I'd show up for 3 days for $10,000. And they film them over like 39 days is what it says here for the time of actually filming. And of course, it's only like 4 or 5 people that actually make it to the full thing. So, but yeah, they all do get paid a little bit. I mean, like I said, they're not walking away, like I can quit my day job. Most times go right back to their day jobs, but they at least make money while doing that. So, but yeah, and they're still writing. All those reality shows still have writers, stuff like that. The other thing is if the actors go on strike, then of course that gets people like hosts of the shows, even if they're the producer, if they're part of SAG, they can't participate until that gets all resolved.
Oh, here it is. It was the commercial actor strike in 2000. It was the longest strike, 155 days. So the actors were striking.
Yeah, they were using real people,
not the writers.
Yeah, and because Mark Burnett, who's the producer, he just was not SAG. That's how they got around it.
That's how they got around it. There you go.
But yeah, so it's writers. You kind of need the writers all over because, like I said, the writers. If you look at everything, I don't care what it is, reality. There's always like writers, or staff writers will say. Because a lot of times it's like they're feeding them lines. That's where Deadpool 3, which is supposed to start filming soon, they can film it as long as the SAG doesn't go on strike, but they can't change any lines, which also means that Ryan Reynolds cannot ad-lib. Or nobody can ad-lib. They have to do the script as it's written. They can't vary for that because that would constitute technically writing.
Ad-libbing is considered writing? Really?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, interesting. I didn't know that.
Well, yeah, because you've created something that wasn't in the script, so that is technically writing it.
What if there was no script to begin with, and Ryan Reynolds just ran around in his Deadpool suit? Because he probably could come up with a storyline on the spot.
That would be considered writing. I mean,
him and Hugh Jackman could just ad-lib the whole thing with zero script.
Well, think of Robin Williams when he did his stand-ups. I'm sure he had wrote some stuff down. Majority of it was just off the cuff, on the fly. Right. And then when you watch the credits, after they filmed it and all that stuff, what did it say? Written by.
Okay. So
watch Bert Kreischer's recent ones when he gets off topic and he tells like, oh, this wasn't part of it. He goes off topic and they kept it in the show. Or Chris Rock and his last specials, it all says written by, because that's what it is. Because it's still, you're improvising, you're still creating it, writing it. You just physically.
You become the writer by default.
Correct.
Got it.
So yeah.
That makes sense.
So that's where that is. So, hey, for not having a topic, we did pretty good.
We did. It's already 11:02. Amazing.
Hey, we'll see y'all next week. Maybe we'll have more to talk about. I don't know. We'll figure something out. So,
yeah.
How's it going, guys?
Take care.